Today is, I don't even know what today's date is. It is May 15th. And we're starting a new chapter because we just finished our previous chapter on inequalities. And we're starting a circle geometry unit, which has to do with right angles of right triangles. So we have 4 questions. Our first question gives us a right triangle, and we know it's right because it has this little square in the corner here, which means it's 90 degrees. It gives us a measure of 2 sides. In this case, it gives us a leg and a leg. And it misses the hypotenuse. It says, what is the length or the approximate length of the hypotenuse? In order to solve it, we use what's called the Pythagorean theorem. We substitute our data into this one. We simplify using BEDMAS. 5.5 squared is, I think I should know this one, but I don't. 30.25. And finally, 46.25 equals x squared. And Gavin, you know that we're not done yet. What do we have to do to isolate for x? So, yes, that's right, Gavin. You have to square root both sides. So if I square root this side and square root this side, I know that the square root of x squared, or what number multiplied by itself is x squared, it's x. And the square root of 46.25, I know the square root of 49 is 7. So I know it's 6 point something. My guess is like 6.8, but I don't know. Square root it, 6.8 right on the nose. But remember, it is not exactly 6.8 because there's all these decimal points here. So because it's an approximation, I rounded it, I put my dot above it, and that's the answer. Approximately 6.8. In the second question, we have a right triangle as well. We have 2 legs, and we know those are the legs because it makes up the 90-degree angle right here. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 10 squared plus x squared equals 12.8 squared. 12.8 squared is 163.84. This is actually quite an easy one because we can do it without too much fret. My constant is 100, so I'm going to subtract 100 from both sides. And this one you don't need a calculator for either, do you? Because it is so close to 64, and we know that 64 is 8, that if I square root both sides, I am almost sure it's 8, right? Approximately. It's going to be like 8.98 or 8.99, right? So if I take it and go 63.84 and then square root it, it's 7 point, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry, I meant 7. Yeah, haha. 7. 7.98, which will round to approximately 8. We'll just make it a solid, pretty close to 8. Our next question says, is this a right triangle? Prove it. If it's a right triangle, it will follow Pythagorean's theorem that this square here's area and this square's area here adds up together to be this area of this square, or the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Or 5.25 squared plus 7 squared equals 8.75 squared. If this is true, then yes, it's right. If it's not, it ain't no right triangle. 5.25 squared is 27.5625. 27.5625 plus 49 equals 8.75 squared is 76.5675, I think. 5625, isn't it? 5625? 5625. Sugar. And look at this. It is right, because it's 76.5625 does equal 76.56 or 76.5625. And therefore, the area of this square plus this square does equal this square. And therefore, yes, it is a 90-degree angle. And finally, our last question is how many degrees? Well, since it's a square, we know this one's 90. Because it's a straight line, if I was to put any line here just like this, it would make 2 angles, 1 angle and 2 angles, right? The sum of those 2 angles would be how many degrees? 180. Since this is 90 degrees here, and a full circle is 360 degrees, then this must be 180 plus 90, or 270 degrees.